Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. The national debt, the economy, forever bagwash, inflation. I've mentioned this quite a lot, to be honest. Again, like most people don't understand economics and what's happening and what's going to happen, and now it's only going to get worse. And we're all heading for poverty. Really, is the ultimate outcome of the number at the bottom of the screen. And I can't fucking say it, trajectory of where we're going. So UK July, inflation increased. Let's have a listen to this.
Is this the kind of data that will force the Bank of England to hold, basically, through the rest of this year into 2026? Can I take out November as a potential cut from the BOE, given what the numbers I'm looking at on the screen right now look like?
I wouldn't take it out yet. I think,
right.
I think it's uncomfortable, right, that inflation just keeps rising. That's not the greatest backdrop for a central bank. And
yeah, I mean, the thing is, look at the number at the bottom of the screen. The number keeps rising, so that's why inflation keeps rising, because we keep printing money like there's no tomorrow. That's what causes inflation, printing money and devaluing the current currency by increasing the money supply. So it's like this is what I mean. I've been explaining this for quite a while here. You know what I mean? And everybody should be kind of aware that the inflation, I keep saying inflation's going to get worse because this number at the bottom of the screen keeps going up. Why are all these people shocked when it happens? Do you know what I mean? I'm not in the news. I'm not in the fucking economy or anything of this shit, right? But I know fine well what's happening. And yeah, it's going to get worse. I keep saying that, it's only going to get worse. I'll say it all the time. And then here it comes out that inflation accelerates, and everyone's shocked, like they didn't expect it to fucking happen. You know what I mean? Hold on a minute. So, basically, none of these people should be in charge. None of these people should be on the news. Like the whole thing is a shit show, the likes of which we have never seen. So yeah, the big shocker here: inflation accelerates, exactly like I said it would.
remember, the Bank of England are already expecting inflation to rise further. I'm expecting that to peak in September. They have
Nope, it's going to go further and peak in September. It's not good. It's going to keep going and going and going, as the number at the bottom of the screen keeps going and going and going. That's economics. That's maths. You know what I mean? That's the truth. So don't be shocked when the next time it comes around it says inflation's fucking gone up again. You know what I mean? Don't be shocked at this. Just don't be shocked at all. I've told you well in advance.
4% number. Remember, so that's kind of in there. I think for the bank, a lot of it's going to come down to, okay, what are the drivers of that inflation number? And today's number, I think a lot of the supply seems to be FS. That's a really volatile component.
Well, what are the drivers of the inflation number? The number at the bottom of the screen, and forever printing money like there's no tomorrow and devaluing the current money supply. That's what's happening. You know what I mean? What is this person? Senior economist, but yet she hasn't got a fucking clue what's happening here. Do you know what I mean? Royal London Asset Management, senior economist, and she hasn't got a fucking clue what's happening. Well, the number at the bottom of the screen, love, that number there, 3.2 trillion, and what, 6 billion or something now, coming up to 7 maybe, fucking... Yeah, that's the number. That's the number right there. I've mentioned it once or twice before, mentioned what's going to happen. And it's happening. It's happening here. But this woman's completely surprised, even though she's the senior economist here. Senior economist, not a fucking clue what's happening. So that's why we're fucked. So I'll move on. Rachel Reeves is going to do loads of tax increases, inheritance tax, scrap council tax, and a load of other things. So I've got a elaborate video on that. Hold on a moment.
Sure.
I've clicked all the wrong buttons. Hold on a moment. So, we're on a channel here called Property Accelerator. James Nichols seems to know his stuff as well. So, let's have a listen to this.
Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to share with you probably the most insane thing that I've heard come out of the Labour government. And that's saying a lot. I'm sure some of you would agree on here. This has been reported in The Times, The Guardian, and various other outlets over the last few days. And I think this is really, really bad news. I'm not talking for landlords. I'm talking for anyone that owns a property, and especially if you own a property down south. It's a new tax that the government is looking at introducing, and in this video I'm going to break down on just how expensive it could be for some people. In fact, I've worked out that a friend of mine would be paying £43,000 per year if this was to come through. So this is something you really want to know about. Now, if you're new around here and you haven't done it already, do make sure you subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We've got all the latest property news, interest rate news, house price news, investing news, and much, much more. And I want to get as many people aware of this video because I think this is really important, and your part is simple. If you could do two things: firstly, smash like, tick or like, do something to the like button, and next, hit that share button and share it with someone that you know that owns a property.
You need a lot of wind, Mike, like me. Yeah, so honestly, I've said this to people. I don't know if I've said it on YouTube before, but I've said it to people in life. The problem you've got is the country is bankrupt, it's beyond bankrupt, and they can't take money off people that don't have money. So all the people on benefits and all the migrants and all the, well, all them basically, you can't take money off people that don't have money. You can only take money off people that have money. So that's what they're going to do. That is what they're going to do, and ultimately it will never fix this problem. It won't fix the economy ever. The economy will get worse eventually till it collapses sometime in the future. But at that point, you will own nothing and probably won't be happy. But the statement is you will be happy. So yeah, these people plan to take everything off everybody. And ultimately the economy will still collapse at the end of the day because of the escalating debt due to the number at the bottom of the screen, which is continuing forth. So there's no way out of this. They're just going to take everything off you on the way down.
Because I think more people need to know about this, so something could be done potentially to stop it going through. Because if Labour hear some backlash on this, maybe they'll back down. And so what I want to talk about is something called house value tax or something like that. That's the name of it. There isn't a proper name yet because it's not out. But Rachel Reeves has a problem. The government aren't bringing in enough money. They promise that they won't raise income tax. They promise that they won't hit VAT. And I think they promise they won't hit national insurance, at least the amount that you pay, because they already put it up for businesses. And so those are things that they're trying to avoid increasing. So they've got to tax other things considerably in order to increase the income for the government. Now, one of the things they're looking at is inheritance tax. That's probably going to be absolutely decimated and made really, really crazy high in the next budget. But the next thing is all...
Yeah, you're not even going to be able to get what your parents and your parents worked for now. They're going to tax that to shit and take that off you. So they've already done the farmers. The farmers are all ruined here, and none of us, I think most of Britain hasn't realised what's happened and what's coming with the farmers as well. But that's a shitstorm coming down the line as well. Maybe be a few years, be it a decade, that there's an absolute shitstorm there with the farmers who can't afford to buy the farms back. Basically, when the parents die, they'll have to sell them because they won't be able to afford the inheritance tax. That's going to probably happen to everybody else as well now, as they'll just keep the inheritance tax rate at the same while money inflates, and ultimately you will eventually work your way into this band. I mean, it's kind of what they're doing with the council tax here, it seems, as well. They're scrapping council tax for a new tax, the house value tax, which ultimately you'll pay so much a year based on how much your house is worth. So a bit of a wealth tax there. The richer you are, the more they hurt you. So you're better off being in the gutter in many ways. Like, we're the stupid people going out to work here. We're the stupid people who go into a shop and buy things when you can steal 250 quid's worth of stuff, and now it apparently happens. So are we the idiots here? You know what I mean? So, but you try and live respectfully and like peacefully and decently, and you get punished for it. That's the ultimate thing here. You're getting punished for trying to live decently. I'll leave it there. Oh, will I? Will I? I'll play a bit more, to be honest. I'll play a bit more of it. Property Accelerator, the channel, 46,000 subscribers. Could be useful. Could be useful for things like inheritance tax and trying to get out of how the government's doing you over here. So it could be a good thing to subscribe to because he seems to know his stuff.
All about getting rid of two taxes. Now, this will sound good at the beginning. It's all about getting rid of stamp duty, and it's also about getting rid of council tax. Now, you probably don't like paying either of those things, but then they'll replace it with a property tax. And this property tax would start initially on new purchases. So let's just say you purchase a property, you would then not pay council tax, you wouldn't pay stamp duty on that transaction, but you would pay this property tax. And the problem is, this property tax is on an annual basis. So you're going to keep paying this property tax indefinitely. There's also a tax that they're considering in this that would be on the seller of the property. Now, the seller of the property at the moment could pay tax on capital gains. So if they were selling a second home, for example, there could be capital gains tax. There's not capital gains tax if they're selling a house to buy another property to live in. But they're saying potentially you could get taxed for selling your home as well. So there's two sides to this then. So you're not getting a big lump of stamp duty, but you are getting a recurring payment. Now, what the proposal is that properties sold over £500,000 would pay a tax annually of 0.54%. So it's any property over that amount. Any property over 1 million would pay a tax of 0.8.
Oh, I think that's maybe £2.5 or something. Just quickly working it out there. For a house worth £500,000. The problem we've got is this band level isn't going to rise with inflation. So ultimately your house in the non too distant future, due to inflation and money devaluing due to the never ending printing of money, your house will ultimately then lapse into this band and then eventually rise higher and higher through the band. Till ultimately they'll probably take your house off you because you won't be able to afford it. But eventually, like, it will be the ultimate plan as it gets worse and worse. And these people will own everything, and again, you will own nothing and be happy by 2030. So, and people don't really realise how fast things can escalate on an economic level. I think they do, because we had the 2007 credit crunch, and then another one, which I can't remember what the date was. But things can go to shit overnight in the economy. Literally overnight, things can go to shit. So yeah, it can all fall down very, very, very quickly, economics. So it's how it is today is not necessarily how it will be tomorrow. It probably will be like this tomorrow, but you know what I mean? In a 24-hour period, things can change fucking drastically. Companies can be wiped out and bankrupt in hours. You know what I mean? The entire share value wiped off, gone. So yeah, economics is turbulent at times, and it's very turbulent when you're in such economic strife, to be honest, as this country is. But not just this country, every country in the world's pretty much in the same shit, to be honest. But as well, it's kind of like, though, the debt's on the head of the population, and because we're a small island, we don't have that big of a population. So it's not really manageable, whereas Europe's got a lot more people for the debt. So it's you know what I mean? America's got a lot more people. So it seems to be a lot more serviceable, whereas we are a small island with a lot of debt and not that many people, but too many people really for the island, and we want rid of people, which will ultimately put more money on our heads on the national debt. But there you go. I'm willing to take that. So the plan is, again, scrap council tax, scrap stamp duty, bring in a house value tax, and tax you every year depending on the value of your house. And it's kind of, the richer you are, the more you'll pay, to be honest. But then at the same time, if the limit doesn't move, your house will eventually roll into this band because of inflation and the ever print of money, as I've said. So again, the inheritance tax is the big one, really. The inheritance tax taking taking all the money your mum and dad and your parents have worked for all their lives to save up and pass it on to the children, so the children have something. And these motherfuckers are going to steal it all before you get it. Because, you know what I mean? Like, they already do, but it was quite a high levy before that happened. But now, where's it going to? What's going to be the value here? And again, money is not worth what it was. The value, it was like 250,000. If you had less than 250,000, they didn't bother you with inheritance tax, but they're going to lower that, and you lower that to about 50 grand, 100 grand, and most people, or a lot of people, whose parents have worked all their lives and saved and got a good pension, a lot of people will be over that, and again, then the government's going to steal all that money. But the ultimate thing of it is they're going to steal everybody's money, taxes all the shit, and it's never going to fix this economy. Never. It's never going to fix it. We need to pay back that money and not continue to print it. And all they're ever doing now is trying to service the £105 billion a year we pay in interest. They're just trying to service that debt, but that debt's going to grow as well. As we print more money, the debt will grow. So that'll be more than 105 billion a year next year, and ultimately we need to service that debt before we do a single thing, and that debt's going to rise. So ultimately it can go nowhere but collapsing, but there's no fixing this. Well, in order for it to collapse, these people on the way down are going to take everything off everybody. And if you can't see it coming now, again, you might not, but it'll get worse, to be honest. This isn't anywhere near as bad as it's going to get. So you will see this coming eventually, absolutely, definitely. When you've got nothing left and you're getting forced out your house, you'll definitely have seen it coming. So that's kind of the plan. The more taxes, another budget, and it'll only get worse, as I keep saying. Don't be surprised at all when inflation goes up. Don't be surprised, like these idiots who are apparently economists here on the first video. Don't be surprised at all. But yeah, so these people are either stupid or lying to you, you know what I mean? But I always kind of just think it's lying, but it's a mixed bag. Some of them are stupid, some of them are lying. But you'd think an economist there would know what the fuck was happening, and ultimately, the more money we print, the more we devalue the money supply, the more the national debt, the more the debt, interest on the debt. It's a never escalation, but it's really not rocket science at all. It's just maths, just fucking maths, to be honest. I'll leave it there. Peace.